Hi, I'm Chef Pants, and today we're going to be making the Dark Sword of Sauron. Ooh. Obviously, I had to get R2 in the shot. So this is one of those weird weeks where I have a bunch of projects that are lined up and all are in different stages of being ready to go, but there's little tiny things that are holding me back, like delayed in shipping, or there's a part that's being ordered, or X, Y, or Z. But that gave me an idea for a whole new sort of video series that I think I'll be doing on here, and I'm not sure necessarily what to call it. But basically, there are a bunch of STL files and stuff that I have found on the internet that I would really love to print, and on these sort of weird weeks, I think that that's sort of the perfect time to not only print and sand, paint, whatever we have to do to post-process them to sort of make a replica of something. Now, one of the names that I thought of this series might be like MacGuffin Mondays.
How about no?
That's stupid. One of the ones that I thought I would start with is a prop that may be sort of controversial to people, and that prop is the Sword of Sauron from the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power TV show. And look, I know that a lot of people really hate that show for a lot of reasons, but I have to admit the first season of that show sort of it had me. I was following along. I was interested in what was developing. It got me. But one of the things that I really liked from that show was the MacGuffin, the sort of object that was carrying the story forward through a lot of that first season, which was the Sword of Sauron, the sort of the broken sword that we see throughout that show, which sort of acts as the, I guess, precursor to the One Ring. At least in the first season. But in Bambu Studio, there is a amazing 3D model of that broken sword, and I printed it, and it comes in 3 pieces. Now, I still have all the support material still on here, which we're going to remove here in a second, but it's a great model. And I realized that I haven't printed or made any Lord of the Rings props yet, which feels sort of blasphemous because I'm half Kiwi. Like, half of my entire family is from New Zealand, and Lord of the Rings is it's a staple. And if you don't know, Peter Jackson, local Kiwi boy from New Zealand, filmed the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'm pretty sure The Hobbit as well, in New Zealand. It's a big deal there. I was obsessed with the ring, at the time. I don't know if it was Noble Collectibles, but there was this replica of the ring that came with this really cool fiery display base, and I had at least 2 of those because I would play with it so much that the gold would wear off of the ring. I should probably find one of those and buy it. But there are some Lord of the Rings stuff that I want to make, and so I thought that I would start with a prop from a recent Lord of the Rings project that I actually really like, and that I thought the 3D model of was amazing. So let's remove the supports from this and start to see what we got to do to make this look like it does in the show. Let's get some pliers. For some reason, I don't have my multi-tool on me, and those pliers suck. Sometimes the supports come off great, other times it's a fight to the end.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Now, one of the great things about this prop is it's very organic looking, so I think it's going to be really easy to hide some of the crimes. A little wood burning tool, melt down some of these high spots. Some of these just ain't coming off. All right. Set that aside for now, move on to the next. Now this are not a shroud, what's it called? Not a tang. The hand guard, which is very cool, has a lot of support material on it and a lot of floating details. So I want to make sure that I'm extra careful and not breaking any of those off. Oh yeah. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to start with this prop in particular is because it sort of poses like an interesting question that I always have, which is, are there props from films or TV series that are worth replicating and worth having, even if you didn't necessarily like the film or the TV show that they're from? Now, I happen to really like the first season of Rings of Power. For some reason, I can't necessarily remember the second season or if I've even seen all of it, so I don't think it's fair of me to judge the second season. But I remember being very riveted by the first season, and that could have been just because, hey, new Lord of the Rings, and I was excited about it. But I remember the second that I saw this prop, I was like, man, that's a cool prop. I love the look of it. It's a great MacGuffin. And a MacGuffin is basically an arbitrary prop in a film or TV show that moves the plot forward. R2-D2 is like the ultimate MacGuffin, even though he happens to be a character. The ring from The Lord of the Rings is like one of the ultimate MacGuffins. But as I've been saving some of these files for props that I really like, I've realized that I don't necessarily have a super strong connection to some of the films that they're coming from. And I don't think that really matters. I didn't necessarily like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but I love the Dial of Destiny, the prop itself. I want to have that. I think it's a really, really cool looking prop. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed the film as much as I thought I would, but that does not change the fact that I think that that is one of the coolest props in recent film. Some of these are a real pain in the butt. I think that's everything in here. That turned out good. Now, just because of the way that both of these were printed, there's kind of a big seam there. That's where my little wood burning tool, oh come on, that's where my wood burning tool comes into play. All right, let's glue these together. All right, without stabbing myself. Oh yeah, it's gonna look great. And this is what I'm talking about, that the organic shape of this is going to really help hide the crimes. Ow! Hide the crimes of the print. Just burned myself, but it's fine. There's just a light tap.
Just a flesh wound.
And I'm very, very used to burning my hands. Specifically, like as a kid, the amount of super glue, not super glue, but hot glue that I would use, and you know, you just burn yourself a bunch when you're a kid using hot glue. And believe me, this does not work very well with smooth straight line parts, because this whole thing looks like it grew out of a tree or something. We can get away with it, and it's gonna look awesome. It's really cool to see it without the support material, because it's been sitting by my desk for a while with just the supports on, and this is looking really good. All right, so I've heated our blade bit, and now it looks a lot more like that sort of napped glass texture. I'm really happy with how this is looking. So I'm gonna go hit it with some black paint and then go from there.
5 minutes later.
All right, here is our painted first coat of paint. Sword of Sauron. The Dark Sword of Sauron. I'm not actually sure what the real prop is like canonically, what the canon name of the sword is, but by looking at the few like promo photos of this, I'm going to pick it up against my better judgment. The sword itself seems to be definitely more like a wrought iron kind of look, like the texture, which I'll get to in a second because I'm excited about what I did. This is actually sharp. This is hurting me, but it definitely has sort of like more of a flat black look underneath the weathering. So that's what I did. I'll talk about that in a second, but let me start with the blade because I'm sort of excited about this. I had this hammered metal paint, which has just a slight gunmetal look, and that is almost exactly what the reference images that I saw were for this blade, because it gives off just a really nice sheen. Now this also has a fair bit of weathering and dirt in the recessed areas, so that'll make that really pop. But the color difference between these two, I think, is really going to stand out and look super accurate. So this was a hammered sort of gunmetal gray paint that I gave that. I'm going to let everything cure overnight before I do anything at all. And then this paint job was a little bit more interesting. After doing a round of filler primer, I hit it with some Rustoleum truck bed liner, and I've used this stuff in the past. It does take quite a while to cure. That's why I'm going to leave it overnight. But it does give sort of a very durable base coat of black that's got a slight texture to it. It didn't give me enough texture, and then I remembered that I had this stone paint by Rustoleum, create a textured finish. And literally, I mean, the top sort of looks like epoxy floor coating, but it gives like a textured, like little specks of different raised gravelly bits. And that definitely came through and helped hide those layer lines quite a bit. And then I went over it with a flat black, but I am super stoked with how that turned out. Man, that just looks really good. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference between those two sheens. The paint added quite a bit of weight, which I'm happy about.
2 hours later.
All right, so I just came in to check on our Sword of Sauron, and it feels pretty dang dry. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to get a paintbrush and mix up some of that brown color and see if we can weather this thing. Because this might actually be a one-day build. I'm going to rest this right there for now. All right, it is the next day, and I've let everything dry overnight. But that is amazing. I am super happy with the look of this. Now, the obvious, even after doing some research into the actual photos of the prop last night, there's a few things on here that are not super accurate. The hilt specifically may be a little bit less ribbed here, so not for your pleasure. But the spirit of the prop is here, and I really like it. Specifically that paint job, which I don't think I've ever done sort of a aged, almost wrought iron paint job before with the rust, which when we were applying specifically the lighter color of the rust, I was very unsure how that was going to look. It sort of looked like we were just slapping paint on it. But when we started to add the darker rust with the hairspray, it really started to come together. And now that it's all dried and it's got its proper clear coats on it, I love this thing. This is really cool. I mean, yesterday this was just a raw 3D print, and now it actually looks like something straight out of the show. Now the only thing left to figure out is how we're going to display this. And I don't want to do like a nail situation, and I don't want to have to drill into the actual prop, but to have it be properly displayed, specifically in here. It's an interesting challenge. Maybe that's something I can leave up to you. Maybe you can help me figure out the best way to display this piece. And no, not in the trash. Wall mounted would be cool, but in reality, I think this is going to end up living on a shelf. It's genuinely sharp. I love it. Pretty wicked. Genuinely a one-day build. Ooh. Yeah!